welcome back. Today we are discussing, thanks to a comment, I believe, is that correct, Brian?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We got a comment that was saying, "Hey, check out this Argentinian film from 2015 called Wild Tales." That was from an episode where Brian and I were discussing The Eternaut. If you haven't checked that out, go give it a watch. But I really liked this film. It is a six-story anthology film. I always stumble on that word. It's a little tough, but one of the best anthology films I've ever seen.
Well, you don't see that much in a movie setting. Usually they just go like to a series or something. They like break it up, but to have it all together and just like the different experiences with definitely a darker tone to the stories. But I just really enjoyed from the cinematography and the blocking of the actors. I thought it was just like a very clean, precise movie that it was substance over style. Not that there wasn't style, but it was such a focus of story. And I thought each story had such a unique element to it that I was like, oh gosh, this is so fresh. And I first off got to shout out the Argentinian fan base and film community, which seems so behind their industry, where you have other industries in the world where it seems like they're like, honestly resentful of it. Here in like the United States, there's some they're not in love with the film they make, whereas I feel like there's this camaraderie and love within the Argentinian community and for the projects they're making, and I think it's bleeding through. I think we're getting some real artistry and authorship out of Argentina, and that's exactly what I felt from Wild Tales. How everybody on the plane had wronged that the one guy, and then they were all finding out that they were connected, and then kind of the moment of the panic of the plane, and then that shot with the direct juxtaposition of the silence of those two people on the ground. It just like popped, and they just really understood what makes films great, and the juxtaposition of moments of high tension and silence and putting them together. And that was kind of my favorite shot of it. I know that was kind of the beginning of it. I was wondering if those two old people, those old grandparents, did they wrong him as well? Is that kind of like, you don't really get an explanation to it. And I think that leaves room for wonder and imagination, and I just loved it. And then it was on to the next, and it just kept you going. It was Wild Tales. But what do you think, Steven?
Yeah, I agree with the blocking stuck out to me big time. I agree with you. I love the cinematography as well. Anthology films are a hard sell for people, period. If you look at one of the most recent examples here in America, like The French Dispatch, people that love Wes Anderson are going to go see that movie, but even they might be disappointed because the disjointed nature of these independent stories. And with this film, they felt so connected. And I think connected through the theme of primal instincts, which the director, I guess the reason why they have the credit sequence in the beginning with these specific animals that each one of the cast chose to represent themselves within the film, and I guess it's supposed to be playing to this primal instinct, but this was labeled as a comedy.
No,
on Apple is not a comedy, man, and that just happens like all the time. I don't really understand why that is, but that's a separate issue.
The
but
disrespect, what the hell?
Yeah, and they were, there's some things that were saying it was dark comedy or whatever. I didn't find many moments in that.
Maybe
A little bit perhaps, but
as is life in moments, like what?
Sure. Yeah, and I just felt that the theme and the tie through with all of this was people making decisions that they shouldn't. And then while you're watching it, you just go, oh boy, like the one where the car guy, a road rage incident, guy flips off another guy. Turns out the guy that flipped the finger, cars pulls over, and then everything just keeps getting bad decision, bad decision, bad decision, ultimately leading to a cathartic but destructive and in the action. And Brian, did you know this movie cost $4 million equivalent in American? It made $44 million. So that is
Wow.
a payday and a half, especially for an anthology film. And I was very impressed. It wasn't the
Yeah, man.
easiest watch, but very
No,
impressed.
I mean it was definitely harder, like tougher and darker subjects and moments. It wasn't definitely, again, it being labeled a comedy, maybe back in Shakespeare's day when he called it like a tragedy comedy, and it had a different meaning back then. That's what I got more out of this. But hey, I would love to see more works like this. So if anybody has any more recommendations,